Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are here for our first match of the Hamilton Sevens in the women's side of the draw. Great Britain versus Fiji. Both sides very evenly matched in terms of points scored throughout the World Seven circuit so far. Looking through at Great Britain's lineup, they've got a few injury troubles, so it does mean we get to see a few changes from what we have seen in past legs. Hardy, Cow, Shakels, Urin, Megan Jones, Maud, and Crompton. Then for the Fijians, it will be Nagasau, Tavaya, Baliki, Anna Marie Naimasi, Kavuru, Alunisau. Always one to watch out for anytime the Flying Fijiana side are in action. And then also Delawau, the last lady in that starting lineup. So Fiji, they'll be hoping to get themselves a big win here, build momentum. Their next game, it's going to be a tough one, but this one is certainly the one that they are looking at just for now up against this great British side. Looking through at the bench, Riwai, good option there for the Fijians. Also, Silikoviti, another very strong player. Lisa Thompson off the bench. I noticed that they haven't got Abby Brown here for the Great Britain side. That is due to injury, I believe. It will be Craig Chan in charge of this one. The Hong Kong referee, his 38th match on the series. At the moment in Hamilton, it's overcast. It's looking like maybe there's a chance of rain later on in the day, but hopefully it stays fine and the crowd do keep on pouring in. But it will be Great Britain versus Fiji, the first match of this group. Now, there's going to be kicked off by the Fijiana women's side, going from left to right here. Get us underway for Pool A action. And the Hamilton Sevens will get our scoreboard updating. Hopefully, there we go. We're good to go. It's kicked off short by Fijiana, unable to take it cleanly. So Great Britain do manage to get themselves the early position, only 40 meters out from their own line here. Position there with Amy Wilson-Hardy. Nice wide pass from Great Britain. Now, the thing with Fiji early is sometimes their defense can be lacking. That's going to be the penalty to Great Britain. And hi, lads. I love you to watch the Sevens here. And Cape Town says, Jan Brand, yeah, the Sevens for you over in South Africa will actually be, I guess, the equivalent of what it was like when us in New Zealand were watching the Cape Town Sevens, how it will be all throughout the night. Are you going to be staying up all night watching it, Jan-Lu, or are you going to be sleeping during the night and then watching the Sharks versus Harlequins and whatnot that is happening for the Champions Cup? Do let me know. But currently 45 seconds left. Sorry, 45 seconds gone, I should say. Great Britain with possession and scrum. Fed in nicely and well retained by Team GB. Interception thrown, and it's nicely stolen by, it will be Dalawal, who gets close. No, doesn't quite get to the line. That is brilliant defense, although it's a knock on the ground. And now Meg Jones going to fire back for GB. It was a big mistake from the Fiji, and unfortunately just not getting quite to the line. And then rather than just finding that ball back, placing it, and waiting for her teammate to come, instead tried to get risky, tried to look for the offload and did have it slapped out of her hand. But it is going to be another penalty for GB. And also we have got their Yip going to stay up the whole day for the Sevens, says Jan Brand. So yeah, some exciting matches coming up later on tonight. Of course, South Africa got their next game up against Spain in about an hour and 10 minutes. And a little bit later on in the day, South Africa versus Argentina. That's going to be their big testing point, I'd say, for the Blitz box. Just almost made it to the line. I don't know how that ball came free. I think she may have kneed it forward. Great Britain first appearance at the New Zealand Sevens since joining the World Series for Great Britain. Of course, we should mention normally it would be England, Scotland, etc., but this time they are going to be all as a collective unit. Meg Jones tackled nicely by Fijiana and stolen in the breakdown. Brilliantly done by Fiji, and that will be their first try of the contest. It glitched out a little bit. Hopefully that's the only time that we see it glitching on Sky today, but very nicely done. Meg Jones tackled and straight in there over the ball. Anna Marie Naimasi, easy as it gets for her. And what she's just done there is not easy to do, but she's made it look easy. A lot of Fijians in attendance in Hamilton for this one. It's kicked off just away to the side there for the conversion attempt. 3 minutes in, 5-0 for the Fijiana. A brilliant start to the match, but now they need to keep on applying that pressure. We've seen Team GB in the past be able to come back from late deficits. We've also seen them lose games because of big deficits near the end of the game. I remember New Zealand were playing Great Britain, and I believe they were about 21 points down the Kiwis and were able to fire back. Going to be kicked off long. Nicely taken there by Heather Cow. Now, 22 metres out from their own line. Jones goes wide, and now there is space once again opening up for Grace Crompton. Nice ball on the inside to Meg Jones. Thought about the offload option. Instead, just takes contact. Now to the left. Fiji at the moment not willing to get lured into defending. Oh, but they should have there, because now going straight through here, the Cow, it's going to be a foot race. And it looks like she's slowly pulling away. She does. And Heather Cow scores the try, the first of the match for Great Britain. Very nicely done. It's a pat on the back from Balecki there, who did enjoy the foot race up until Crompton. Oh, sorry, not Crompton. Cow just started pulling away slightly. It was a brilliant step around Devaya. Wasn't quite able to catch up with her. And then just steaming for the line. And what a try, Great Britain. Says Yanlu. Yeah, very nicely done by this great British side. But currently in Hamilton, like I mentioned, it seems like there's more Fijian supporters than there are New Zealand supporters, which is always awesome to see everyone coming together for the last New Zealand Sevens that we're going to see for quite some time. Unfortunately, it's been taken off the series. I wonder whether or not it's down to attendance, because if you look at it at the moment, there's not too many people there at the ground, unfortunately. Like, I'd love to see that stand completely filled up in the background, and if it's not, you'd have to say it's probably the right decision to go somewhere that they might get more of an attendance. It's going to be kicked off short. Fiji allow it to bounce, and now Lunisau looks for her offload, doesn't quite find the lady she was after, but instead ends up linking up with Delaival. And also, I'm probably the millionth person to ask, what's your thoughts on Eddie Jones now at the Wallabies, says Xavier. I think it's going to be intriguing, because he had options, whether or not it was going to be Australia, whether the USA was going to be his side. So now everyone's going, how much can he turn Australia around before they get to the World Cup in less than 10 months' time? It's going to be a tricky one, but it should be exciting. And I'm curious to know what it's like for Eddie Jones now, whether everyone accepts him back after coaching England for so long. Because, nice run here. Only 1 minute left in the half, I should say, and a nice clean turnover from Great Britain. But yeah, with him being, like, he was called a traitor by Australians when he was in England coaching, right? And now those same Australians who were calling him a traitor now have to be like, hey, he's our coach, so we have to kind of, like, if he wins the game, we've got to respect him. That's a great try from Fiji, just piercing around the side of the breakdown. Kavuru, she thought about passing, but always was going to try and back herself from that close. Got over there. 30 seconds left in the half, and Fiji, they do get the lead back. Just a big fend of Ripia Lunisau going straight over the top of Alyssa Maud. Definitely makes it definitely makes for a more entertaining World Cup. And I mean, at the end of the day, like, had he gone to the USA, he wouldn't have had this World Cup to prepare for. So I think he made the right decision in picking a side that was in the World Cup, just because then, you get to do a little bit of scouting and you get to learn while on the job type thing. And Eddie Jones, it's going to be interesting, because I'm just wondering, do we have a rugby championship this year? I believe we've got some of one, don't we, Xavier? I haven't actually looked at the dates yet, but I know that the regular rugby championship would normally overlap with when the World Cup is. So do we have a shortened rugby or rugby championship, or do we think we're not going to have one? I think we've got some games, because the rest in Australia only have July internationals to prepare for. And then other than that, they don't really have any matches. Do you think Razor, basically the AB's coach post-World Cup, says Xavier? I don't know. He's playing his cards very close to his chest at the moment, Razor. He's not given too much away, but I know England might be looking for a new coach at some point in the future. Maybe he goes overseas. I think he loves Canterbury, though. I think we saw that from the Black Clash, team rugby versus team cricket. Like, he was just going around talking to all the locals, which is pretty awesome, I guess. So, yeah, it's whether or not he wants to pack it all up and go overseas for the money, or whether he wants to stay in New Zealand and just hoping to get himself the chance. It's going to be another try here for Great Britain. They've flown down the wing there. They were only a few meters out from their own line, but just repeated phases then led to the line break for Grace Crompton, who did run almost the length of the field to score that next try for Team GB. Rugby Championship is on. We just play every team once, except we play you twice. Okay, so you still got Bledisloe. Does that mean that South Africa play Argentina twice? Or is it just we have an extra game that doesn't count for the Rugby Championship, maybe? It's going to be an interesting Rugby Championship if it's shortened. I know that we've got our second game up against the South Africans just before the World Cup starts in a warm-up game at Twickenham. And that kick is successful, and that will make the halftime score 14 points for GB, 12 for Fiji. The scoreboard's gone to sleep, but that's all right. We know the score. 14 points to 12. Nice finish to the first half, says Yarnley Brand. Looking like a close one at the moment between these two sides. Of course, the next game that has taken place, it will be Papua New Guinea versus New Zealand, which could be quite an awesome one. My World Cup smoky is Argentina to win, says Xavier Brown. Okay. Argentina to win the World Cup. The thing is, they've got a good side. And I think a lot of the time for Argentina, it's not so much the physical side of things that are the problem. It's normally mental for their side. Like, they've got a lot of talent in their lineup. They've got the strength, they've got the size and whatnot, but they just don't seem like something about the final moments of a game or that discipline seems to just get in their own heads and they end up blowing it. Japan are actually winning up against Australia at the moment on the second field, up against the women's side. So that would be a massive, massive upset if Japan were able to go on and get themselves the win in that game. Although we did see Japan in the men's game were actually sitting 14-all with the USA at halftime to then go on to lose that game about 44 points to 14 or 44 to 12, I think it was in the end. But Fiji so far throughout this first half, they've looked strong, but Great Britain, couple very good runs down the wing. And that is what has caused them to go through and get themselves the lead. I'm just going to quickly look at, scoreboard's updated. Quickly look at the odds for that Australia versus Japan women's game. If they've got the odds, that is. Because that's like, if there was an upset of that epic proportion, okay, Fiji versus Great Britain very close at the moment in terms of the betting odds. Japan to win their game is paying $100. But you can't put money on it because I don't think they expected Japan to go well. Why is England making new tackling rules, says Xavier? It's an interesting one. They're always trying to evolve the game, but sometimes what they try and evolve it to does make it worse. I haven't seen too much of the new tackling in terms of it come into full effect as of yet. Like, I haven't noticed too much of a difference, but you just hope that the big moments of games don't get affected by new rules getting added in because players haven't adapted yet. Fiji get this one on the halfway line due to a little bit of a mistake from GB, not quite getting it as far as they needed to off the kickoff. Now down the wing, big fem put on, but great tackle made by Cal on Davao, certainly at the strength and size advantage. Now, nice inside ball, but it's going to be dropped by Fiji. And also arrested for assault on a woman. That is true. Curtly Beale got himself in a bit of trouble. He's definitely not going to be on the Wallabies squad, I wouldn't think. And don't change what's already the best sport, says Xavier Brown. Because I guess they're trying to work out how to make it more maybe free-flowing / like more, I guess, they're trying to make it more simple by making it more complicated, if that makes sense. So the Kingdom of the United playing as separate nations, CRA, by being predominantly English, says Sammy Zoza. True. And it's weird that they aren't playing as separate nations because it was only very recently that they decided Great Britain was going to be reforming. And I don't know the complete reasoning behind it, but it's interesting. I've said interesting a lot on this live stream. It's an interesting day. Okay, they're going to be making a change here for Team GB. I believe that is going to be now Lisa Thompson making her way out onto the field. Packs a lot of punch. It's quite the scrum on her. Finished 5th and 9th across the past two events. Their two worst performances since round 2 in Dubai 2022. That is Fiji. that stat is about. So they'll be looking to finish a lot higher, but for that to happen, they do need to win this game. Out, Great Britain trying to step their way through over the ball, but penalty conceded by Fiji. That time it was no mercy. Scrum called again by Great Britain. Like they've said, it's just a little bit staticky. That's how they've described it. And why is Team Britain or Great Britain a thing when England have a team, some tournaments? Or am I wrong? I'm confused, says your dad. Nice name. They have decided to switch back to Great Britain. I'm not sure of the reasoning behind it because less than a year ago, in fact, before the Commonwealth Games or the Rugby World Cup Sevens, they were separate sides. And then for some reason, I don't know whether it's I don't know why, in fact. I'm trying to think of why, because the men's side are also Great Britain, which is, so there's something. I haven't looked into this or the reasoning behind it completely, but weird, isn't it? Because, like you said, England's got a pretty decent side. So why wouldn't they want to be England rather than GB? Thrown in by Fiji, relatively straight there. The veil lifted in the air. Now going back across to the left-hand side for Fijiana, trying to take the lead here. Nice pass on the outside. Little bit of space, but not much now as Bessie continue to go towards the wing. Nice drawn pass. Here come Fijiana. They've got the momentum in their favour. Nice offload. One more on the outside. This will be a try for Fiji. I'd say close to the best try of the game. And it is Boleki who has been able to score it. Just consistently finding the hands of the teammates there, Fiji. And Boleki does end up scoring it. That makes this interesting. It's not halftime. The scoreboard has gone to sleep, which is weird because for the men's matches, the scoreboard was completely fine. So I don't know why they've decided now that it's the women's matches, they're going to be slack with the scoreboard. But yeah, the moment Fiji have actually got the lead, no matter what the scoreboard says, it is the Fijians who are now sitting in the lead. Now, I should mention that the game between Australia and Japan is now sitting 14-all between those two sides. So slowly firing back here for the Australians after being down at halftime. But the kick is successful. So that will now make the score 19 points to 14. They've just realised the second half started. We've got 3 minutes left. Who do you reckon the Wallabies assistant coach will be? That's a tricky one because I feel like Rennie is probably not going to get another chance, is he? But it would be an interesting combo having Jones and Rennie. I don't see it happening, but it would certainly be intriguing to see what type of tactics and everything those two could kind of come up with. But yeah, I'm not too sure. I think Jones will be the deciding factor in the. Imagine he gets Scott Robertson. That would be quite funny. But then also quite scary for other teams. Those two are the brains of the Wallabies. Now it's going to be back across Meg Jones. Sees the pass on the inside. Great Britain not out of this game yet. Still looking to break their way through. That's going to be the knock on Brompton, though, and that will use up a bit more time on the clock here. They've just said Crompton, if she had caught it, it would have been a certain try, but she did put it down. Because of it, it does mean that it is going to be the scrum feed for Fijiana. A couple more changes being made. We know Bessie already out on the field. Riwai still an option. Sulakoviti. Oh, it's actually going to be Crompton. He does get taken off the field for the English, I almost said, but for Great Britain. Right. Great Britain have not won back-to-back games since their first two games in Dubai last season. Won the last game in Cape Town. Okay, so if they won this game, it would be back-to-back for them. But if they don't win this game, then that will still remain the last time in Dubai now. Nicely passed across by Alunisau. Finds Nine Masi. Another offload. Alunisau goes on the short side. Fiji's starting to stall a little bit early for that to be taking place, but I think they were also just trying to find that gap, looking for the offload now. Back across Nine Masi. Did score a try a bit earlier on in the match. Now carving up the middle. Well tackled there by GB. And they get the ball back. Med Jones. Now back across. At the moment, a converted try would give Great Britain the lead with not too much time left on the clock. The advantage in favour of GB now, and they're going back for the penalty. Yeah, their sevens isn't a thing in the Celtic nations, or Celtic nations, sorry. But there will be, or there has been some improvements, as seen with the Island. Oh, I tell you what, I've read it that terribly. Island men on the rise, so why not go back to splitting the GB into their own nations? In my opinion, yeah, I think it's weird, to be honest, because like, if anything, having 3 or 4 different nations together just means, for one, you're limiting the potential spots that people are able to fill. And 2, like, training wise, surely that's going to be annoying, going from country to country for trainings rather than just being able to go down the road and have your local trainings. Like, I don't know the reason. I'm sure there's something in there for why they do have to be Great Britain rather than England, Scotland, Wales, etc. But I'm not sure what it is. And morning, bro, says Kurt. Welcome in, mate. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're excited. At the moment, Australia, they are playing in a match up against Japan in the women's side of things. Ounces off the foot of Great Britain, and they've actually got 6 women on the field. Now there's a knock on, 30 seconds left. This might be the chance. Do you think a combined international rugby union and league would work? Like, union players can play league players can play union, kind of like T20 Test and ODI, says Xavier. It would be a tricky one to pitch, I guess, initially, but we've seen a lot of players jump from sport to sport. You know, you look at Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. So I guess it's like saying, could Roger Tuivasa-Sheck play for the Warriors, or sorry, not the Warriors, play for New Zealand and the All Blacks in both formats? It is tricky though, because you'd probably end up getting your games mixed up type thing, your rules and whatnot. What day India versus Australia in cricket, bro? That's not too far away. I believe they play in about 20 days' time, I think I saw. Or about, actually, it might not be 20 days. It might actually be 6 days. Now, Fiji, they're running away from Great Britain. They've retreated, but they have won this game, Fiji, in the end, 19 points to 14. Who's you picked to win this, Tawny, bro? Says your dad. We're talking women's or men's? For men, I think Samoa or Fiji have a really good chance of going all the way. For women, I mean, New Zealand on home soil seem like a good pick, but I mean, Fiji at the moment, they've got a decent crack of going well. But yeah, I think it's going to be more than likely probably New Zealand or Australia. If we had NRL players, I reckon we could easily win 2027 World Cup, says Xavier. But nonetheless, we are going to be popping over to our next live stream. It is New Zealand versus Papua New Guinea. I will see you all in a very short moment.